Two governments finished a test of the Chinese model everybody's arguing about right now. On the most severe test, the one where AI hacks a machine, the Chinese model scored 0 out of 41. The American models in the same test averaged a score of 20. Turns out that the AI that did break into a real company this month wasn't a Chinese one. Keep that in mind, because this rabbit hole goes deep. And as always, sources for this video are pinned in the comments for study. For 2 weeks, people have treated Kimi K3 as a loaded weapon aimed at the United States. The White House even floated an executive order. The Treasury Secretary said sanctions were possible. Even a White House tech official accused Moonshot of smuggling banned NVIDIA servers through Thailand and clipping data from Anthropic. Dean Ball, the head of strategic futures at OpenAI, went full red scare and said Chinese open models push us towards full communism. The FUD got up to a frenzied pitch because, as I write this, Kimi K3 weights are about to drop in less than 7 hours. So, cooler heads convened. The UK AI Security Institute and the American Standards Center tested the model. Here's what they found. Try not to laugh. The first test was ExploitBench. It uses 41 real security holes in the Chrome browser engine. The exploits are post-2023, so models couldn't have memorized the answers. Kimi K3 scored 32% on this one. That sounds kind of mid until you read the fine print. There's a difference between finding a crack in the wall and going through it. If you can't get through the crack, you can't own the machine, which is the whole test. K3 scored 0 out of 41 on that, meaning that it couldn't execute arbitrary code, not even once. Meanwhile, the most cyber-capable American models averaged 20 out of 41. Remember, in this test, less is safer. The second test was a simulated corporate network called The Last Ones. Real zombie apocalypse vibes. In this test, it takes 32 steps minimum to go from being outside the network to fully compromising it. K3 only ever got to step 17, while American models averaged 28.5. The Chinese model failed at the thing everyone wants to fail at right now: cyber attack. Yeah, the model that has Washington drafting executive orders gets about halfway down the hall and nopes out. The part I don't see anyone else reporting is right there in the same document. Now, Kimi K3 didn't refuse. To quote the assessment, its safeguards didn't prevent it from attempting to do a cyber exploit. It tried, every time. It was just bad at it. You see the disconnect? Lobbyists and politicians are crying wolf on the open weight's harmless model, while the American models could never be released publicly, not because of some business strategy or whatever, but because they're legit dangerous. K3 is like the robbers from Home Alone, while Fable and GPT are the four horsemen from Now You See Me, prestiging their own creators. Now this is where it goes a little bit tinfoil hat. A new theory explains why K3 is all thumbs at hacking, and it's pretty paradoxical. So the White House accused Moonshot of industrial-scale burglary. Kratsios said Moonshot built an internal platform to run large-scale distillation against US models. He said that Moonshot rotated its access methods to stay hidden. Anthropic says Moonshot pulled over 3.4 million Claude conversations through fake accounts. It's not that far-fetched. There's even a Chinese GitHub for token resellers called One API that walks you through how this can work. They give you the reasoning, the coding, the tool use, and the computer vision. All the data. Now, distillation is like copying homework. You ask a smarter model millions of questions and you train your model on the answers. Classic. But think about what that means if the claims are true. You distill down from Claude, then you ask Claude to write an exploit, and Claude refuses every time. The one thing you can't learn from Claude is how to write an exploit. So if Moonshot did copy Anthropic's homework, then Kimi K3 can't hack because Anthropic refused to teach it. The evidence for the prosecution is the defense. To be clear, the governments didn't conclude this. The assessment doesn't mention distillation at all. Analysts connected the dots later. TechCrunch even ran a piece where experts said distilling Fable is not how Kimi K3 got good in the first place. So it's a theory with legs, but it's not real evidence. I also got to rewind a bit here to say, at first I thought this meant distillation makes models safer. It doesn't. The research spells out how safety behavior doesn't transfer reliably through distillation. Sometimes the student ends up being more permissive than the teacher model. What may have transferred here was a hole in the training data and not a set of values. K3 didn't inherit the conscience of Claude, just the blind spots. So that's the theory being floated. Now, to add fire to the FUD, 9 days ago, OpenAI published a disclosure about a real breach. I made a full video about it, but the vibe is that they ran an internal test with the guardrails off. 2 of their models escaped, broke into Hugging Face, and stole the answers. You can watch the full video for details. So on the one hand, we've got the Chinese model that failed at every severity level that matters, but everyone is fear-mongering about. And on the other, we have the American models doing felonies and not being held responsible. The Chinese got sanctions, and the Americans got to write a blog post. I don't think this is a conspiracy. I think it's the American AI companies flailing wildly as the gap between closed and open weights models closes rapidly, about to burst their bubble. They're literally all over the place on this one. Some are lobbying, while others kowtowed and signed the open weights letter about how frontier models are no longer the meta. Unironically, Anthropic hasn't signed that yet, which is weird because they're the alleged victim here. They're the ones saying that the Chinese basically stole from them. Anyway, Kimi K3 is about to drop in a couple of hours. The Hugging Face page has a countdown timer and about 1,800 people sub to get an alert the second that it does. God damn, I need to get another hard drive. And after being exposed to all this whining and scheming drama bullshit over the last 2 weeks, I gotta go touch grass.